Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Tom Stewart here. I'm with Liz Trotter. This is Smart Business Moves. Happy Monday.
Y'all.
Woo!
All right, so we need you guys on the call today to be commenting and help us out. Neither one of us is just feeling it today. We're both like,
It's been a grind. I don't know. Maybe I stayed up too late watching the football game last night.
Are the football games on at night? I thought they were on during the middle of the day. No?
Well, the Super Bowl started around 6:30 Eastern time. Well, it depends where you are. Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I was thinking that it usually starts somewhere around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, but that makes sense. Maybe they do like pregame stuff or something. I remember hearing about that earlier. I don't know.
I did something this weekend. We went to Costco, and they had like this pork butt on sale. It's really cheap. The stuff you make.
Shoulder or butt? Which one?
I think it was butt.
Oh, okay.
But you make barbecue out of it, pulled pork?
Yeah.
Okay. And it's like, well, this is a bargain. So I got this, 14-pound piece of meat, and then figured out I didn't have anything to cook it with. So I had to go get a smoker. And I kind of knew where this was going. And they had like the really fancy electric ones with the computers in it that spit the wood chips out. No, I'm old school. So I got the kind that you kind of have to tend to yourself.
Oh.
So I knew if I wanted to have this for the Super Bowl, I needed to start cooking it Saturday. So I started Saturday evening and set my alarm to go off like every hour and a half. And, somewhere around 2 o'clock, Sunday morning, it was like, this is worse than having an infant.
2 o'clock in the morning? You had to get up?
I was getting up about an hour and a half to kind of play with the fire, make sure the temperature is right. And, it's kind of like having an infant. It's, okay, let's go see why they're crying now. Okay, is it a food thing? Is it a diaper thing? What is it?
Oh, no. I hope it was good.
No, it was. It was pretty good. I learned a few things, too, because that's the first time I ever did anything like that.
So are you going to keep that smoker, or are you going to trade it in on an electric one?
No, I'm old school. I'm gonna learn how to do this. Anybody can just plug in the, if it's my business, if it's about profit, yeah, okay, we're gonna automate it and we're gonna go for but this is it's kind of like camping in a way. You just kind of gotta take the rustic approach.
And it's going to be something that you're going to feel good about when you're done. Hey, Linda, like, look at the meat that I can make. My brother, I love to tease him about it, but boy, that man makes a mean brisket. I love what's the name of that place I love to go to, Tom, with the burnt ends?
Swig and Swine.
Swig and Swine. I love that place. They make some good meat, but man, my brother's meat. Yeah, he makes a delicious brisket that I can't get enough of.
They were my inspiration, actually, because we brought some of that home Friday night. It was really good. And it's like, I just need to figure out how to do this myself.
Yeah, so good. You got to learn how to make those burnt ends too. Man, so good, so good. That place has such good meat. I love to go there. It's definitely my favorite over Cece's. Definitely.
You had to pick between the two.
No contest. Hey guys, good to see you. How are your guys' Mondays going? Tom and I were not having the best Mondays of all time, but hopefully you guys are having a better Monday. Anybody having just a rockin' Monday? Share with us and pick up our spirits, y'all. Make us happy.
It's all good. We're talking before we went live about, what's happened over the last couple of days. And I guess there was one thing that came up that would be worth talking about a little bit. This was a post I did Friday in several places about what the current thinking is regarding minimum wage. I guess even the president's come out and told everybody last night as part of the whole Super Bowl interview thing that they don't believe that they're going to be able to get the minimum wage increase through as part of the whole COVID relief package.
He's got a post up above that, Tom, that makes more sense. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, the Victory sprayer?
Hmm. Did you hear about the recall
No,
on the Victory sprayer?
no. What's going
Yeah.
on?
I will grab the info real quick while you are talking about the minimum wage real quick. And don't worry, Vic, we'll get to your question here too.
Huh. Okay.
Let me see if I can find the minimum wage info. I mean, not minimum wage, sorry, Victory sprayer.
I'll post this. This is a PDF that you can download. This is, I guess, from the house.gov. So this is an official government document. Bernie Sanders, who's kind of the budget chair in the Senate, is getting behind this, where they want to raise minimum wage to $15 an hour, but it's not going to happen until 2025. It's going to go up gradually. And this is still not even close to being law yet, but if it's going to happen, it looks like it's going to look a lot more like this as opposed to just going from where it is up to 15. And I know there's a lot of people in the country that are already at 15 or something significantly higher than 20, higher than 725. Oh, okay. And I guess the part about that is, even if you're in a part of the country that's currently at $15 an hour, as soon as the federal goes up to 15, you think they're going to be happy at 15, or you think they're going to want to raise it?
So I think that by 2025, 26, there aren't going to be very many states that are still sitting that are at that $15. I know over here on the West Coast, ours is slated to go up every single year. We don't have an option. And if the minimum wage gets raised to 15, I promise you, they're going to put a big, hefty wage increase on top of what we already have slated, because our state definitely, California is the same way, Oregon the same way. We do not want to be anywhere near minimum wage, the federal minimum wage. So, so I'm just waiting for it to be 20, 25, 30.
But if you think about it, the cost of living in some parts of the country is a whole lot less than it is, in other parts of the country. And I don't know anybody anywhere that's paying $7.25 an hour. I mean, you got to be in the double digits to recruit in the markets that we're in, and those are $7.25. I mean, they have the federal minimum wage in place, but nobody can pay it. So market forces are driving it somewhat.
So that's my point. You guys, all of you that are paying, just a couple bucks off of minimum wage, even if you're paying whatever you're paying off of minimum wage, you're maybe not paying 15 right now, but maybe you're paying 10 on a $7.25 minimum wage. Then as the minimum wage is bumping up, you're going to have to bump up off your 10 just as fast. So if the minimum wage goes from $7.25 to what's the first bump to $9.50?
$9.50.
$2.25. You're going to have to bump your minimum wage $2. The people that are working they're not gonna handle that gap. They're gonna be like, what? No way, I'm not making that close to minimum wage. Minimum wage is $9.50. You're not paying me $10. Are you kidding me? They're gonna need $12.50. So everybody, the state minimum wage is going to, and the state amount that we end up paying, I guess is what I should be saying, is going to have to be adjusted based on the minimum wage. Do you really think anybody that works for us is going to allow you to start paying minimum wage? It's not going to happen. You can't pay $7.25. You're not going to be able to pay 15. So,
and look what's happening here with the restaurants. The tip wage is going from $2.13 eventually up to the same minimum wage that it's just going to be the same across the board.
yeah.
This is going to be indexed to the median wage at that point, so it's going to be going up every year thereafter. So, for like the restaurant industry, I guess they're just going to have to raise their prices, and the paradigm is going to be that you really don't tip. I understand Colorado, I believe, is kind of like that now.
Our minimum wage is the same here. Like our employees, our restaurant employees, nobody makes $15. That's ridiculous. Everybody makes at least 17, but you still tip.
Okay.
Yeah, still tip.
It's going to be interesting. So,
Yep.
what the heck's going on?
Everybody should be ready. Everybody should be preparing to be, how are you going to move toward that? Because your wages are going up, period.
Right. But the good news is it doesn't look like they're going to, minimum wage is going to double for folks that are at the federal, in a place where the federal is now. It's going to go up slow enough that we should be able to adjust and raise our rates and manage that in a more logical way. And as long as they're haggling over, relief packages and all that other stuff, I mean, this isn't even going to become a topic of discussion anytime real soon anyway, I would think. Yeah. What the heck? Exploding? Yeah. Catching fire?
That's what they say. Yep.
So how do you know if you've got one of these? I've got some. I got one
from Supply Works, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I probably do. You might as well, Liz.
So wait a minute. Hold on. This was. It sounded like. So look here, Tom, where it says these, according to the commission, about 405 of these sprayers were sold between these things and sold between 100 and 150. So I don't think that's ours. I think that is some, I don't know. I wish I paid 100 to 150, right?
What do you mean by that? You can't buy electrostatic spray. Well, I mean, I guess maybe.
But maybe back in the day you could. Nowadays you can't. Could back then. Maybe this was, I don't know. I don't know. But these are the ones this is where we got them.
Product details are the green and white model PV20A or the VP20B. So I guess you could basically look at the sprayer itself.
Yeah.
Got an 800 number you can call and ask.
Yep. Battery recall.
So it's the battery that's being recalled?
Yeah, that's supposedly what can blow up or catch fire.
You
coming in?
Well, these batteries are kind of wonky because they're proprietary. It's not like a standard design that goes with like a lot of different power tools and whatnot. As I understand it, you have to get these from Victory. You can't go down to the local.
Leslie's were involved. She's saying she must have been on the list.
Okay.
Did you get notified, Leslie, or did you hear through news channels? I'm curious. I didn't get notified. I found through news channels. So.
Did Robert have a question here that we wanted to get to before?
Yeah, that's Vic. His last name is Roberts. Yeah.
Vic, okay.
Yeah.
Having an outbreak here, and I want to make good use of my Victory sprayer. Where can I get more training? How can I keep my residential clients? I have one lady cancel today. Not good. Newfoundland. That's Canada, right?
Got me, Tom.
It is.
Okay. I'm like, it might be Australia. All right. Newfoundland sounds like it's far away to me.
Okay. ISSA has some training. I would, what's the other organization? Remember,
Yeah.
Sharon Grammer was on. how many months ago? There's two
Yeah.
associations that have certification. You know what I would do, Vic? I would go, if you got Victory sprayers, I would go to Victory themselves and say, how can I get training on this? First off, they probably have their own training videos like on YouTube. But if you want something like a certification, I'm sure they can point you in the right direction.
Right now, what people are doing here, Vic, we have been over here in the States. We've been dealing with this for quite a few months, losing a lot of customers and then trying to get them back now. Um, what a lot of people here are doing is just advertising it on their website, that they do it, how it works, the benefits of it, and then sending it out to everybody they know, getting that information out to everybody they know. Oh, you were emailed, Leslie?
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't emailed, but I'm sure we registered. We're pretty good about registering all that stuff. So I'll still check, but maybe that means we weren't. Not sure.
It might be in your spam.
Yeah. Wouldn't be the first time. Wouldn't be the first time. All right. So we're going to hit price increases again, huh?
Well, this is where we were.
Yeah.
Thursday.
Yeah.
Talking about the merits of rate increases, and again, all this ties into loaded direct payroll to revenue. Okay, well, what do you guys use, Les?
So brew tabs or vital oxide. Those are the two main things that I know of. We also use I can't remember some other product, but I know those are the two most common here are the brew tabs and there's a generic brew tab, so you might check that out. They're quite a bit cheaper, or the vital oxide.
We use hypochlorous acid, and we brew it on site. There's a couple of different companies that make the equipment, but if you don't have if you're just getting into it, you'd be better off using the products that Liz is describing.
Perry has a good little piece of equipment that makes the hydrochlorous, doesn't he?
Who?
Was it Perry? Perry Tate?
No. He makes equipment that uses it. You're thinking of the Annihilator is the name of the company.
Yep.
And Marty Paris.
Yeah. Good job.
Marty makes it.
Yeah, and any of that information that you might want, Vic, you can find in the resources that Tom just linked to up above, right, Tom?
Yeah, it would be Bringing Business Today. Somewhere in here is a link to Marty Paris's stuff. It's not a download, though. Being all right.
For sale. There you go. On that electrostatic fog blaster.
This is Perry's.
Yep. I think he also has something that makes the hydrochlorous in small quantities.
Does he?
I think so. I want to say yes.
I'm murdering this.
Go back. ANNIHI. There you go. You see it? ARE. Go ARE. Oh, LARE. Sorry. I was just showing you how to spell annihilate. There it is. Annihilator.
Amazing. He's been a guest before, and they make the equipment that basically can take salt water and apply a electrical charge to it, and you make hypochlorous acid, which arguably is the safest thing that you can use to put in a electrostatic sprayer for sanitizing and disinfecting. But it's a big investment. But if you're into it, it also makes a high pH sodium hydroxide product that you can use for like a degreaser as well. You can stop buying a lot of chemicals when you go this route, but you have to.
Material investment.
Yeah, it's one of these machines is about 15 grand. Anywho, let's talk about rate increases.
All right.
So,
hey, rate increases. First, you gotta pop up your graph, Tom, that shows why rate increases are so important. How over time the need for rate increases becomes more and more critical.
Let's tie it into the context of loaded payroll to revenue, though, because we've been talking about this for a few weeks. And if you want to make this number go down, you can do that by making your loaded direct payroll go down, or by making your revenue go up. And what a better way to make your revenue go up than to do rate increases?
Yeah.
Free money, right?
Yeah.
And we say rate increase, we're not talking about a customer who you just underbid, that you've got a lot more time tied up in the job than what you estimated, and you're losing money. That's something that we call rate adjustments. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. What we're talking about here is your oftentimes an annual increase for cost of living. Like 3%, 5%, a more modest number.
Yeah, because minimum wage went up, because supplies are more expensive, because minimum wage went up and everybody had to raise their prices, and so do you.
And we talk about, minimum wage is an awesome reason to do rate increases, right?
Yeah, it's a great reason. I'll tell you something that we did that worked really well here. We had a big increase. I think it was like $2.40 that the minimum wage went up, and it was voted in here. So we used that to our advantage. Yay! Washington really wants to pay people more money. We're so excited that our state is one of the states that really wants to support a living wage. And we're glad that you want to support us in this as well. Here's your new price. Yay! And it actually did work. We had a few people that were like, I didn't vote for that price increase or that wage increase. And they weren't as happy, but it still worked on them. They understood. We're like, oh, yeah, sorry.
So, I guess the concern always is, if I do like across the board rate increase, am I going to lose customers? And to some degree, you might. But the whole calculation is, how many of them do I have to lose before it's actually hurting my gross profit? If I can generate more revenue off of the ones that I keep, I can afford to lose some and still be more profitable.
All right. And I'm going to point out the other piece, because a lot of business owners don't want to lose customers for reasons other than the money. They don't want to lose customers for a couple of reasons. And here are the ones that popped into my head fast. First, they want to keep their employees busy. So they don't want to lose any clients because they want their employees to be able to get the hours. That's the first one. The second one is they like those clients, the little old ladies that are on fixed income, and they want to help them. So they don't want to lose them. They don't want to raise their prices more than they can afford, and they'd rather take a hit than cancel those customers. So we're also going to be talking about how to not lose your customers, but we want to start with why the money part of it, the number part of it, because we are talking about, remember, we're talking about net profit, and that if you have a large enough net profit, then you can afford to do all the things that you want to do, like keep on the little old ladies, and like keep customers that are maybe below the price that you're charging other people because it's good for your company in some other way or good for your mental health. But you have to have net profit to do that. So I just want to point out for all of you that are like, yeah, but I don't really care about that because of this other thing. Listen first, listen to what Tom has to tell you here, because this is the information that's going to get you to the place where you get to make that decision, where you get to say, no, I want to keep Mrs. Johnson at $12 an hour because she was my first customer 25 years ago. And okay, we're going to help you be able to do that and still do price increases. So bear with us here while we hit the numbers first.
Okay.
I got to get that out there, Tom. Otherwise, people are like going to block you. Some people are going to be like, no, he doesn't understand my situation.
Okay. So let's talk about.
Yeah, I love this graph.
Okay. So what we're doing here, and forgive the dates, we've been doing this for a while, but the math is the math. It works today just as well as it did back in 2013. Okay.
Oh gosh, we've been doing this a long time.
We've been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
But, maybe we should have learned something by now, right? Maybe we have. Let's pretend that this says 2020 and this says 2010 or 2021, Tony. It doesn't really matter. This is a 10-year period looking backwards, actually 11 years, okay? And let's pretend that we're starting right here in year one and we're charging 500, we've got a gross revenue of $500,000 and this is per year, okay? So when I say gross revenue, what does that mean? That's the top line, that's the income, right?
All the money coming in. All the money coming in.
You take every dollar that every customer gave you over the course of a year and it added up to be $500.
$500,000. Which is a much better number.
A better number. That's $500,000, okay? Yeah. So you've got a $500,000 a year business, and over 10 years, you never increase your rates for your incumbent customers. Now you can have customers come, you can have customers go, and arguably, even if you're not comfortable raising rates for customers that you already have, most of us, I believe, occasionally raise the rates for our quotes for new customers. So these numbers would probably go up just naturally, but for illustrative purposes, let's pretend for 10 years, you never increase your rates on your incumbent customers and you never lose any of them. So you'd be charging $500, you'd be getting $500,000 in revenue off of those customers 10 years out. It would kind of look like this red line here, 500,000 every year for 10 years. Mm-hmm. Let's say you decided to do a modest annual rate increase of only 3%.
So what that means is, like, if you're charging somebody $150 per cleaning, that's only $4.50. That's not even a $5 bill.
That's not even a cup of coffee, is it?
Mm-hmm. Not here in Washington.
So what would that look like? That would mean, the first year you did the increase, your 500,000 annual income would go up to 515,000. And the next year be 530,450. You got this thing called, what do they call it? The miracle of compounding. You remember that? It's compound interest, but don't they call it the miracle of compounding?
Yes. Yeah. If you listen to any of the financial advisors, right?
So each year the number gets bigger, and it's 3% of a bigger number. It keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So by the time you're 10 years out, your $500,000 is $671,000, almost $672,000, 671,958.
Yeah.
So it's not that big a deal at the moment because it's like only 3%. It's like $4.50 a job on the average. It's not even worth the hassle. I don't want anybody to get mad at me. I don't want to lose anybody. But if you don't do it, you're going to look up, you're going to have customers, and you will have customers that have been with you for 10 years that you've never increased their rate. And then you're going to say, well, gee, they should be paying, this, they should be paying 150. Let me do the math real quick.
Didn't we also have something that shows the total of that? So had you been charging, had you raised your prices, what your total income would have been over that 10-year span?
Yeah.
Which is a lot more. A lot more. So you would have just been given away.
Yeah. It's like a 34% difference. So if you don't do it, you would have to go back here and say, okay, well, gee, I'm going to have to give you a 34% increase.
To get to your current rates. If you're current. And it seems like if you're growing your company and you're trying to grow, at some point in time, you're going to want all of your customers up at your current rate, because it just gets too hard. It gets hard on everybody. It gets hard on the employees. It gets hard on the clients. It gets hard on the people doing the billing. Everything is just harder when they're not getting all the money. Oh, good. Are you going to show the big one? I love this one.
Well, I'm going to have to recreate it, but let's see if we can.
Okay, so Tom's going to show you a number here in a minute. What he's going to show you is how much you would have brought in total revenue if you never raised, and how much you would have brought in total revenue if you just raised 3%, which is such a small amount, y'all. A lot of times you might even want to or need to raise more than that. If minimum wage goes up, you're going to have to raise more than 3% just to be able to stay even. But let's say you did 3%. It's going to show you the number here, how much money that you could have had in your pocket extra, that you could have just had extra to do stuff with, where just keeping it the same, you didn't. This number's huge. I can't wait. He likes to build stuff on the fly, y'all. Me, this would make me so stressed out if I had to do this right now on the fly.
Okay. So we're just going to drag all this down, and I need to stop behaving.
Would you hit the save to make it do that?
Yeah, it was acting flaky because this is like up in the cloud, and it. Okay, so these are all the numbers that we had on the other side. We'll put that in there, and we'll make that go down. So these are the exact same numbers that we have here in our.
Yeah. Yeah. So we just need to total them.
So if I look at the variance, which is just the new number minus the old number per year, by the time you get to year 10, that's $171,000 you're leaving on the table. But if I add it up for all 10 years, it's
almost $1 million. Did y'all see that? Almost $1 million on a $500,000 company that wasn't collected over the course of 10 years. So that's just in 3% increases.
And 3% is really modest.
So modest.
You think maybe we could get 3.5%?
Maybe. Oh, you're going to have to widen that little thing.
Yeah, because we're over $1 million then.
Now we have over 1 million, y'all. A lot of people do 5%. Tom, what does 5% look like? 5%, million and a half over, right?
Yeah.
That's like 3 years worth of money. 3 years worth of money. All right. So I hope that we are making the case for monetarily why you really need to be doing a price increase every year. Okay. This is the monetary reason. I'm going to give you a psychological reason as well. It's going to help you. If you set up your cleanings with people with the understanding, we talk a lot about expectations, right? That how important expectations are. But if you set up your initial cleanings with the expectation that this company does rate increases every year, and on your anniversary, you can expect a rate increase, then you have lots of options when it's time to do a rate increase. One of the options is raise them 3%. Another option is raise them 5%. Another option is don't raise them at all. So let's talk a little bit about that, Tom, how we have options when we're actually doing rate increases. We charge $48 an hour because I do this often. We are the highest priced company in the county. Yeah. So there's a good argument for being the highest priced company in the county. I'm sure Leslie could tell you lots of benefits to being the highest priced. You might not have the most customers, but you are making more money, which is more money that's coming in, more net profit, more money to do things with.
If you do your rate increases, you very well might have fewer customers, but you're making more money cleaning fewer customers.
Yeah.
We talked about that Friday, and all things being equal, as much money as you can, if you can make more money and clean fewer homes, or make the same amount of money and clean fewer homes, you're better off cleaning fewer homes and making the same amount of money because you've got less overhead, you've got less billing, you've got less credit cards to run, you've got less scheduling issues, you've just got less headaches,
less labor. So there's a lot of things that you have less of if you have fewer homes to clean. And a lot of those things are things that are really a pain. All of the things that we were trying to reduce earlier, right? That we're trying to figure out how to reduce that LDPR. Well, you don't have to struggle to take out every tiniest piece of everything when you're raising your prices you're raising your rates on a regular basis. A couple of things that people don't think about when they are talking about how important it is to raise your rates and clean fewer homes so that your expenses are less. Some other things that happen is you don't have to have as much space to store things. So you can pay less money for space, like rent, how big of a place that you need to house supplies, equipment, etc. You don't have as much money spent in breakage or repairs because you just don't have as much stuff that is breaking down or needs to be repaired. There are so many little things like that you don't even think about. You don't have to have as many uniforms because you don't have as many people. So because you don't have as many people out there cleaning.
The whole relationship management is easier because you got fewer relationships to manage. So you can argue that you're in touch more with your clients because you've cleaned them more frequently and you know who they are and they know who you are.
And you can be. If you're charging them a better price, you can have somebody that part of their job is to actually connect with the people. But if you don't charge enough money, they can't. That being said, when charging the highest, we need to deliver.
Mm-hmm.
And I would even argue that, Leslie, I would even argue that in many, many areas around the country, the highest charging company in the area is maybe a franchise, not to badmouth franchises, because I'm loving me some franchises, right? And franchises are as good as the owners that run them. But sometimes people without much experience will buy into a franchise, and the prices are set by the franchise. They have the highest prices because they know, like we know, that you're going to be making more money, right? You have a better opportunity. But sometimes people that don't know anything about the cleaning business will buy into a franchise, and they're charging the highest prices, and they don't necessarily have the best service in town. That's a thing. There's also other companies, maybe in your area. I know of one in my area where the company's been around almost as long as I have, and they're old and burnt out. and the service is not top notch. So just because the price is the highest doesn't necessarily mean they're the best place in town. Somebody in Canada, what's his name? Can't remember his name right now. I'll remember it in a minute. One time I was talking with him, and he said, my goal is to be higher than, and he did name a franchise. It was a really good franchise in his area. I want to say it was Molly Maids. In his area, Molly Maids was the top dog. They charged the most money. And he said, I'm the highest priced company in my area, except for Molly Maids. What do you mean, except for Molly Maids? He was like, well, Molly Maids, they're the highest price. I was like, are they better than you? And he was like, well, no. Well, like, why then? Why are you not charging more than they are? Well, because they're Molly Maids. Everybody knows them. Well,
It's branding, and that's part of it as well. Being able to build your value proposition and help, establish that, we are more expensive, but we're worth it. Let's look at the value that we bring, and then it's a matter of who your clients are and if they see value in what it is you're doing. And I mean, this whole thing kind of gets complicated. The timing of your rate increases matters, though. I mean, we're having a labor challenge in one of our branches at Castle Keepers, and we made a decision not to do rate increases for the ones that were scheduled to go this month because we've been rolling homes. And it's like, well, we're not even cleaning some of these homes because we don't have the people to clean them. Probably not an awesome idea to increase their bill rate if we're not cleaning their home anyway, because it's not going to help us any, and it's just giving them one more reason maybe to look for another cleaning service. So, Leslie, you got to bring the goods. Yeah, you're right. At the very least, you got to make sure that you didn't get a bad scorecard, or you're not doing anything to, where they're looking to replace you anyway, and you're just giving them one more reason to.
So we do something called an audit. We do an audit every year on the client's anniversary. So if they signed up for service in January, then we do an audit on them in January to see how we're doing with their job. And we look for a few things. First, we look at their scorecards. What's their average scorecard? And what were the last 3 scorecards? Because even if their average is really good, but the last 3 were not good, then we're not going to give them a price increase. Mm-hmm. So we look at their scorecards. We look at our, and this is going to go back to some teaching that we had before. We look at our productivity in the home. How are we able to be productive in that home? Do we need to, can we afford to not raise it as much, or can we afford to raise it much? Do we need to raise it even more than we had thought that we were going to raise it, because we're going to have to add an adjustment and a price increase together maybe? So, well, we do an audit on every client every month, and some people will get rolled a certain amount of time based on one of those different criteria. We might roll them 3 months. We might roll them just 1 month, and now their new price increase time frame is this new time. So let's say we audit somebody in January, and we're like, nope, last 3 scorecards were not amazing. All right, we're working on it. They're staying with us. We're good to go. But let's audit again in March. Right? We might kick them out until March, or we probably would kick them out until April. all right, let's audit again in April. Hopefully things are straightened around in April, and now they're just going to be on the April rotation. Every year they're going to get audited in April. So that has worked really, really well to keep people from leaving. Just a blanket rate adjustment or price increase for people a lot of times is not the best idea. Or another idea that I know a lot of people do is, and when they're going to be doing the rate increases, they do give them to every single person the same amount because they just want to make it easy. Everybody's getting a 3% rate increase across the board. I don't care who they are, anything about them, but they'll send them out in batches. So they'll like take their stack of envelopes, or they'll take their email list and they'll send out 25% or 30% of them, and they'll see what they get back and see how they are going to manage those to decide what they're going to do moving forward. So I know a lot of people do that too.
But when you look at like money over a 10-year period and just say it's $500,000 for 10 consecutive years, if you didn't do an increase, that's not real spending power. I mean, if it stacks of money, yeah, it's still $500,000 in 10 stacks over 10 years. But you got this thing called inflation going on that, usually for most things, they're going to cost more 10 years from now than what they cost today. There are some exceptions when it comes to technology,
Almost everybody can name at least one thing that you personally know of that was less 10 years ago. That was a lot less 10 years ago.
What's our biggest expense as house cleaning companies? We've talked about that.
If y'all don't know this answer, then we're just going to take off our invisible hats right now.
No, thank you, Leslie. Yeah.
That's awesome.
PPE.
That's awesome.
Masks and shoe covers.
We actually needed that today, Leslie.
Go back and look at what you were paying for a labor hour 10 years ago and look at what you're paying for that same labor hour today.
Yeah.
And do the math.
There's a reason why we've been hitting LDP all this time, right? Because it's the number one most impacted number. Yes, Amelia, good job.
So what we did here was we went back and over a 10-year period got the inflation numbers, and this actually, for some reason, the Department of Labor does this, and they come up with a factor they've got like a basket of goods. It's that they pretend that they're buying year over year, and how much is the price in that basket going up. And I don't know how heavily that's influenced by wages. For some reason, I don't think food is in it. It's got some quirks, but if you use their inflation numbers over a 10-year period, and this was like from 2004 to 13, what once was $500,000, the actual buying power of that 10 years out would be $392,000. So it still might be a stack of, money that on the face says 500,000, but in real buying power, you can only buy today $392,000 worth of stuff, where 10 years ago you could have bought $500,000 of that same stuff. Likewise, if you apply that same inflation factor to the 3% increase that we did over here, you see how that line just goes straight up? Well, part of that increase is nothing more than keeping up with inflation, which kind of beats it down. And in real spending power, you're 500. I'm sorry?
A large portion of that. Yeah.
What we thought was 671,000 is really only 527,000 in change in real buying power compared to where, the 500,000 10 years ago. So if you don't do the increases, and basically you're on a race to zero, but your labor prices are going to continue to go up. And if I go back over here to this model, what gets into the loaded direct payroll to revenue, or we call it cost of goods sold here, this percentage is going to get bigger year after year after year after year, where it's so big that there's nothing flowing down here to cover operating expenses and net profit, because it's all going to be going to cover your loaded direct payroll because your rates are too low, but you're going to still have to pay more in order to hire people because that's the way it works. And we just began the discussion today with where minimum wage is going to be going. We might not know by how much, how quickly, but you know, our labor costs are going to be going up year after year for the foreseeable future. They aren't going to be going down, and they're not going to remain flat.
So Leslie, I like that you have Leslie's little comment up here. Less stress, it's her primary motivator. So sometimes, and I'm sure that some of you have seen this before, it feels confusing. You have more money coming in. There's more money coming into your company, but for some reason, you still don't have any more money. By the time you buy all your stuff and you pay everybody, there's still no money at the end of the day. What is going on? I just talked to somebody that was having this exact dilemma. She asked me if there are two valleys of despair, because it feels like, what the heck? I'm still not making money. And at least part of that answer is that you have to be adjusting your rates along with everything else. You are part of this whole ecosystem. And when all the rates are going up, even if you're one of the people that is against this idea, minimum wage going up, and it's just messing with everything, you still got to get in line. If it's going up, you've got to raise your rates too. Because if your rates don't stay in line with all the other rates that are going up, you are going backwards. You're losing money. You're going down. You're not building a business. You are eroding a business.
Maybe sometime this week we can talk about the valley of despair. I don't know if everybody understands how that works, where you start off as like a solo cleaner, you can make money cleaning homes. Who's our friend who teaches how people have to do that?
Ken Carfagno.
Yeah.
Cleaner, you're not familiar with Ken's work, you need to hook up with him. Ken Carfagno.
And he can basically teach you how to make 60, 70 grand, maybe more a year as a solo cleaner, just cleaning homes on your own and still having a life,
Yeah.
Some of us think that we want to turn this into a business and start hiring people. And at some point you start hiring people and you figure out that I'm going to need help answering the phones and doing sales and doing my bookkeeping and payroll, and I need a supervisor, and I might need to get an office, and now I need to get, start filling in the blank. And you find that you're making less money than you were when you were smaller as a solo. Yeah. And if you go back to this model here, what's happening is you've got relatively no operating expenses when you're really, really small, but you start growing, these operating expenses go up, and sometimes they go up faster than what the gross profit is flowing down here to cover them. So you're making less money, even though you're actually making less profit, even though you're generating more revenue, because you're having to add operating expenses. So that's one way that you can find yourself in a valley of despair. The way that Liz described it, the other way you can do is over time you aren't keeping your pricing correct, and you find that your cost of goods sold keeps going up. Your loaded direct payroll to revenue keeps going up, and you aren't adjusting your rates accordingly to keep that down. And if that number just keeps going up, you're cleaning homes, but you don't have any money left over to show for it. We've seen that so many times.
Time and time again. And here's the tricky part, y'all. It can happen fast. If you haven't raised prices in 2 years, you're on that path and you just haven't recognized it yet. If you're at 3 years, you're feeling it. There are months where when it's time to make payroll, you're feeling a little stressy. So it's important that those price increases happen, and they happen on a regular basis. Oh, I love this, Tom. Go ahead.
Okay, so the question comes up, when do you want to do your rate increases? And, I guess there's a couple schools of thought. One is on the anniversary date of when that client became a client, or the anniversary date of the last time that you did a rate increase. It's could be either or. And if you do it on the anniversary date, you're spreading it out throughout the year, where maybe on a monthly basis, you're sitting down and you're seeing, well, who has, go look back over, who have we not raised or done a rate increase for in the last 12 months? And let's go ahead and let's do them now. And then every month thereafter, you're hitting them on their 12th month anniversary for a rate increase. Spreading the work out, it gets done sooner. You're getting that rate increase right there, as opposed to doing them all at once. Because if you're doing them all at once, you have to ask the question, I've got some people that maybe have only been with me for 6 months. Do I want to do a rate increase for them? You say, well, no, I'm going to wait and do it next year. So then it's like 18 months. So if you do it on the anniversary, bang, 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 you're getting them all at the same time. Some of the cons are some thoughts that customers are more inclined to not want to lose their cleaning company and fire you than other times, such as, going into the holidays, they really want their home cleaned, where in January, maybe they don't, because they've got these credit card bills and they're trying to cut expenses anyway. But the counter argument to that is, if they signed up for your service in January to begin with, maybe they don't care about that.
Or that's when they are feeling the pinch and needing cleaning the most. Right? It's like, you just can't hold it together in January.
So, my thinking has evolved over this. For the longest time, we did our rate increases all in like October, thinking that, we wanted to catch people before the holidays. They'd be least inclined to push back. We've shifted that. We do it on their anniversary date, and we're spreading it out throughout the year. Part of that's because of technology. It's highly automated now, so it's not a lot of work, and it's just kind of easy to let it churn out and flow over the year. But you get those rate increases more quickly.
Well, especially now with the new, I know we have a lot of Made Central users on here, so they don't mind if I say, but especially with the new price increase thing in Made Central, that they just go out automatically to everybody. I love that. That's amazing, Tom. I don't know what idea that was either, but they should get extra props. If that was Rebecca's idea, I want her to get something extra. That's awesome.
It's a team effort.
All right.
So I guess the other question is, how do you do your rate increases? And this is, do you do flat across the board, or do you do like a variable rate per client? There's pros and cons to that too. If it's flat across the board, it's easy. There's not a lot of hand wringing. You just kind of say, I'm going to do 3% and just kind of do the math and increase everybody. The downside of it is you may overcharge some clients and, make them want to shop around if they get that increase and say, what is their current rate, I guess, is what you would want to look at in terms of revenue per labor hour. And if they're already at a point where if they called your best competitor and they would get a lower rate, do you really want to increase them more, that you might be putting them at risk of losing them? And the flip side of it, you might be undercharging clients who are below the target rate. And we're going to be talking about rate adjustments tomorrow, and this kind of gets into that. But if they're already priced way lower what they can afford to be, then just giving them a 3% increase, might not get them to where they need to be.
We're top of the hour, Tom, so we could probably just do an overview of this again tomorrow, but we're past, actually. 3:01.
Yeah, okie dokie. Well, we're going to pick up on here tomorrow. Then we're going to jump into rate adjustments, and we'll have some other, pointers all in this idea of you got your, payroll, you got your revenue, and now we're trying to get that revenue number up. So you guys have a great rest of your day. We'll see you here tomorrow at 5 o'clock Eastern. Thanks, guys.
Bye, y'all.